Time for a chat with Pat.
Yes, and today I am very excited. We have with us Samantha Stephenson. She's a Catholic convert, bioethicist, author of several books, helping Catholics grow in faith and navigate the spiritual and ethical questions shaping our rapidly changing world. And I want to get to the article that appeared in Crisis magazine, and it is called, I love the title, Mary is the Antidote. Welcome. How are you doing today, Samantha?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. Hey, let's jump right in here and tell. I love the article, by the way. And why don't you tell the article, what is Mary the Antidote to?
Well, I think you can't really turn around these days without hearing something being called toxic. You know, we've got toxic masculinity, toxic feminism, toxic femininity, toxic culture, toxic everything.
Toxic everything.
And, but really, if you think about it, none of what we're seeing today, I mean, it can feel really dark sometimes, but I think that the really hopeful thing is to remember that I don't think there's been a time in church history when the church would have looked around and said, these aren't dark, these are not dark times. You know, this is not something new. And originally, if we look back at the way we were originally tempted away from God, it is this whisper, you know, you will be like God. And it is all these temptations are just taking on really a new face. They're maybe rebranded for modernity, but the original lie is the same. And there is so much comfort and hope in knowing that we have a champion in Mary who has already shown us, you know, the very simple truth to counter all of these things like pride and putting ourselves first and trying to be gods ourselves. Really, the simple answer is just humility and turning to God and saying, you know, we can't under our own power, and letting God work through us.
Well, you say that the idea of the world has a false empowering narrative. Can you explain to the audience again what that is?
Yes. Well, there's this idea that at this point, like, it's not just I think, therefore I am, but it's I am whatever I think I am, or I can create myself in my own image. And these things are obviously not true. We are not the arbiters of reality. Satan would love to have us believe that we are, but really we are not the owners of our lives. We're not the creators of our lives. We are to receive life as a gift from God. And if we look and turn to God, he's given us really great instruction manual and GPS in Scripture and the teachings of the church to tell us we are made for happiness, and it's something that we long for because it's really real. This happiness that we long for, it's just not the happiness the world tells us. It's the happiness that we're made for eternally with God. And so if we can follow the directions on the GPS, then we can go down the right road and end up at the right destination.
So you make mention that you say the difficulty lies in the will. So what do you mean when you say that?
Well, we have this internal struggle with wanting to have things our way, or mistrusting, you know, oh, that's going to be, or just thinking like that's going to be really hard. That thing, I'm not really going to, and ultimately, I think it's those whispers of, did God really say not to eat the apple?
Right.
Is that really true?
Yeah.
That might be difficult. G.K. Chesterton said, the Christian ideal has not been tried and found wanting, it's been found difficult and left untried. So it's that perspective that we have when we approach the church teachings of the church and say, well, that one doesn't look great, and so I just sort of can't really muster the motivation to take that one on.
So how does comfort and convenience play a part in all of this that you're talking about?
Yeah, well, I think that it makes it easier to give in to this ultimately sort of like nothingness, you know, I can just be entertained, I can take away all the bad feelings. But when you do that, ultimately, if you just live in a perpetual, you know, it's great to have like hacks and things that make our lives easier. But
Mm-hmm.
if we're just living for perpetual comfort, we're just trying to basically dull and anesthetize ourselves from life. And we really end up not able to receive the gift of life, because really what we're made for is love, and all love involves some degree of self-sacrifice and suffering for the other. And that's what makes the Witness of the Saints so beautiful, is that they were really able to put those temptations towards comfort and towards not doing things aside, and to be radically themselves for the other, which is a grace of God.
Yeah. So how does Mary then make up for what Eve lacked?
Yes. So she is absolutely our champion, and it is so simple, because she just put herself in the hands of God, and she gave her fiat and said yes to the will of God, even when it would be very challenging and probably very terrifying. She trusted and said yes to God, and was very humble. And I think that that's really especially hard for us, because I don't think our culture, even if our church prizes humility, I don't think our culture prizes humility at all. They would say that kind of flies in the face of everything you need to do to get ahead in this world.
Right.
But truly being able to recognize our limitations. I think women have a special gift in that too, because when you're going through and you're limited in the way that women are naturally, biologically, through our bodies, you have a gift to be able to recognize you are not in control. That's an easier truth to access. And so being able to recognize that you're not in control ultimately is the gift, because then you can turn to the one who is and submit your life to his will, and to surrender and to trust, which are very, very difficult. They sound like easy words and nice words, but it's very difficult. Just the things that we face in this life the trials can be overwhelming, but they don't need to be when we turn to God and ask for his grace and his power, which is part of recognizing that limitation, right? I can't do this. God can do this through me.
Well, and the world keeps telling us we need to plan everything, plan our lives, and and we do that. So what are you going to do when you grow up? What are you going to? It's always about planning, and not a lot about trusting the Lord. And boy, Mary is the great role model for that. That's for sure. And I want to give you a chance here, Samantha. I know you got a new book coming out. Can you tell us just a little bit about it before we close out this day?
Yeah, sure. It's called The Bellbind Letters Inside the Devil's Plan for Your Motherhood. It's actually a creative take on C.S. Lewis's Screwtape Letters, so in which he had an imaginary senior demon advising a younger demon how to tempt a Christian. Well, this book takes on that same format to imagine how specifically are faithful mothers being tempted. So it comes out right before Lent, and I think it's a great time to revisit that question of how are we being tempted, and the format kind of helps take our defenses down, being fiction, to just really hold a mirror up to our souls and think, how am I being tempted, and how am I falling into that myself? So
who's the publisher, Samantha?
Our Sunday Visitor.
Okay, Our Sunday Visitor, and it's coming out before Lent, right? So people can check online?
Yeah, it's on Amazon, Target, BarnesandNoble.com, on our Sunday Visitor, and I think it's already out on Kindle if people read on the phone.
Great. Yeah. Thanks so much, Samantha, for being with us today, and have a great week ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. You too.